Yeah, so we're back with some more BTD6 Chimps gameplay today. And this one's going to be on the End of the Road map, which is an easy difficulty map. So it may be kind of a step back from some of the harder ones that we tackled, you know, like the intermediate maps. But hey, I wanted to do something a little different. And again, it probably makes sense to do something progressively harder instead of going backwards. But I figured I might as well do like one, you know, just in case some of you guys don't want to be too hardcore, you know. Just want to find a reliable way to like beat these easy maps and don't want to go for too much of a challenge. Then hopefully this should help you out a bit. But basically the one thing I'm going to do different in this run is I'm not going to be using the perma-spike. So yes, none of that broken 025 or 205 Spike Factory. In fact, I hear it's going to be nerfed by Ninja Kiwi very, very soon. Which basically confirms that it is indeed a broken tower. So with that said, I thought it would make more sense to, you know, make a Chimps gameplay video without using the perma-spike. That way, people watching maybe a couple months down the line, when the game has changed a lot, will still be able to follow it. I mean, I'm not sure I want to make, like, an updated Chimps guide for every single map after every single update, you know what I mean? A little too much work for me, so maybe instead we'll use some less OP towers. I know I'm still using the Alchemist, but I haven't heard any plans from Ninja Kiwi to nerf it as of yet. Because maybe, even though it might be a very, very strong tower, it's definitely not as busted as the Spike Factory, that's for sure. Plus, on this map, Spike Factory honestly isn't even that great. Or rather, like, if you want to place the perma-spike, you'd have to put it on the very, very right side of the track over here. Which would only make it to, like, halfway across the track, so not the most optimal spot. You know, you always want your Spike Factory or your perma-spike at the very, very back to accumulate as many spikes as possible. But that's not really possible with this map over here, since if you put your Spike Factory at the front of the track, you know, obviously the balloons are just going to eat it up. So yeah, I didn't commentate much of the early game strategy, but basically what you want to do is start off with a boat. Handy dandy boat. It's really good for early game Chimps game modes on like easy-ish maps. So like you can afford to get away with your Buccaneer as your only defense for the first couple rounds when you give your Buccaneer enough time for it to pop stuff. So yeah, I believe after that I just followed up with, you know, faster shooting and double shots. Then I got a Quincy. Honestly, I don't think the hero really matters, but you just want to get it up anyways. Just because it's a very small price to pay for what you get later on. Hell, if you're using Oben, you could probably afford to start off with him, like, on this map over here. I think the map is long enough that you can do that instead of going for a Buccaneer. But either way, the early game should be pretty trivial. Like, first of all, I'm pretty sure this strategy doesn't exactly require, like, pixel-perfect placement. If you were trying to place the boat where I was in the early game, you could afford to place it, like, a little bit to the right, a little bit down. All you need is for at least that Alchemist to be in range within both of those boats over there. That's really all that matters. So right now, let me just see what I got. So I got a village. That one I'm just going to upgrade to an MIB later, because I plan to build more towers around it, more than just the boat. I'm actually going to plan to use the preemptive strike submarine come the late game. So if you don't know what that 5th tier upgrade does, you'll see at the end of the video, but I'll just explain it really briefly right now. So basically what it does, it triggers the Moab Assassin effect on every single Moab class balloon that enters the screen. So every time, like, a Moab, DDT, BFB, ZOMG, bad enters the screen, it's as if you're activating a Moab Assassin ability, which in this game I believe does 750 damage. At least that's what I saw from a source. Correct me if I'm wrong, but basically, yeah, that's what the 5th tier sub gives you in the middle path. Basically, any Moab class balloon that spawns with 750 less health. So in some cases, or in a lot of cases, that means, yes, Moabs, DDTs, BFBs are basically insta-killed. And ZMGs are like slightly damaged. And for the BED, it's like a little shoulder rub for comparison. So yeah, we're still pretty far from that point. Let me just go over what I have at the moment again. So we're gonna have 2 boats. One of them you're gonna upgrade, actually both of them you're gonna upgrade to aircraft carrier. One of them you're gonna upgrade to a Carrack flagship. That's a 5th tier Monkey Buccaneer on the top path. Basically makes your aircraft carrier a hell of a lot better. You'll see why once I get it. But since I also have a village within range of those Buccaneers, I can afford to go for like the grape shot and the hot shot path, just for like that very teeny extra firepower. So I can afford to like skip the long range slash crow's nest path, both of which are honestly useless once you have a radar scanner, because first of all, range doesn't matter when you got an aircraft carrier. Although I do believe the aircraft carrier still shoots out like the grapes and its main shot, but basically 90% of its damage is going to be those aces like flying all over the screen and whatnot. But yeah, again, if you're having trouble with this map, hopefully this should help you a bit. Not really placing much towers, so it should be pretty easy to follow. Basically, after you get those 2 boats, you want an Alchemist, at least to a 3rd tier, topside, so like the Berserker Brew upgrade. And then after you get your aircraft carrier up, I believe you go for the 4th tier Alchemist, or you go for the 4th tier Alchemist before you get your carrier. Again, I'm not quite 100% sure because this is a post commentary. I can't quite click on my towers at the moment to see what kind of upgrades it has. I can only play it by what I can see on the screen. But either way, I don't think it should make a big difference. Like in terms of what order you upgrade your towers in, none of that really matters because the balloons aren't even making it halfway through the track. I mean, at this point, you guys are probably thinking, this game's gonna be a breeze if you're following this step by step. But let me assure you that it's only going to get harder. Even though we're cruising by these rounds, it's chimps mode, so that does mean you don't get any more income. You gotta rely on what you gained through like rounds 1 to 90 basically. Despite the fact that these rounds are easy, you can't really do anything with all that excess cash. So like all this cash I'm holding right now, if I had the ability to like get more eco from it, I definitely would. I would greet the hell out of what I have right now and spend like half of our income on like farms or merchantmen or something like that. But we can't. Instead of using this time to make our early game a lot easier, we can only make our current defense a lot stronger and then figure out what to do in the late game. So another tip I wanted to mention while I'm at it, I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but if you haven't heard about it, then listen carefully. But basically in chimps mode, what you want to do is leave as much excess cash as possible. Like say for example you're on round 60 something like I'm at right now, you got like $20,000 in the bank, and you're basically breezing through these levels with ease. I personally would recommend not spending any of that money until you get into any danger, because at that point, you can choose to think about what you want to do with all that excess money. Again, this also involves a trick where you can leave the game if you know that you're gonna die, instead of playing it out. Like you just press the setting buttons to pause the game, and then go back home, jump back in, resume from where you left off. That way you're gonna have a lot of money sitting in your inventory so that, you know, now you can think about what you want to build, instead of being stuck with what you have, because you built the wrong thing earlier. If that makes any sense. Either way, I think I'm just reiterating everything I'm saying from the past chimps videos I've done. So I'll stop doing that. So let's talk about something more exciting, I guess. While we got some downtime, things are gonna pick up again come the late game. Basically, the model for chimps is like, the early game is rough, mid game is a breeze, mid to late game is a breeze, and then late game, that's when like this game mode hits you like a truck. So yes, on the topic of exciting stuff, how about some of these BTD6 strategies? Like, we all know at this point that Alchemist plus low pierce towers like the boat is stupidly broken, but there's actually a lot of other tower combinations that honestly synergize just as well, if not better, than like the Alchemist. So for example, I've heard that Druids, yes, Druids, aka the tower that I never use for some reason. I don't know why, I always seem to have this feeling that Druids seem very weak, even though they're not, because some people have proven that Druids are batshit crazy if you like stack pop lusts. Basically, the pop lusts make every Druid in your range attack faster. So if you put a bunch of those together, it's kind of like Shinobis in a sense, except a lot better from what I've heard again. I might have to try that out sometime on maybe some of the harder chimps maps, because at that point I'm not sure how far like Alchemist plus tower strategy will do for me. I know for sure it works well for easy and intermediate maps on Chimps. Well, intermediate maps aside from Shoots. Because honestly, Shoots is absolutely an advanced map. I'm not sure what the hell Ninja Kiwi was thinking when they were like classifying these map difficulties. And also, this is not the first time Ninja Kiwi has messed up the map difficulties. Because I distinctly remember in BTD5, they released a new update that had this new tunnels map. This was in BTD5 Flash. I'm not sure if it's the same thing in mobile. But basically, this new tunnels map was labeled as an expert map. But let me tell you, it was not even close to an expert map. You got expert maps like Death Valley. If you haven't seen how that map looks, I don't think you want to see it. But let me explain to you how tunnels was like. And this was labeled an expert map, mind you. So it was 4 straight lines, but here's the catch. All 4 straight lines are connected to the same path. So there's only one path, and the path is 4 straight lines. So basically, the balloons go either up to down, or bottom up, through one path, and once it finishes the tunnel, it'll start its way top to bottom or bottom up on the second path, so and so until the 4th path. I don't know, if you couldn't get what I was talking about when I'm explaining that, then just look it up. BTD5 like tunnels. Google image BTD5 tunnels and you'll see. But end of story, I don't know what the hell Ninja Kiwi was smoking. Because that map was basically on par with like intermediate maps, I'd say. Same with that clock map, to be honest. Which was also labeled expert. I would personally put it close to advanced. But that's just me. I know Ninja Kiwi's not perfect, but come on. Tunnels was a little bit egregious, needless to say. And Shoots is kind of close to that level as well, although not quite as bad. I'm still not sure what the hell they were thinking though by labeling Shoots at the same level as something like Streambed or Cracked. I mean, you can just compare the maps side by side. And you can tell there is no way those things should be labeled the same difficulty. But end of rant, let's get back to the game. So as you can see, I've got a huge chunk saved up, but I'm about to blow all that money on that preemptive strike. As I was talking about earlier, really good upgrade. A 10 out of 10 would recommend. Because just watch, once I buy this upgrade, watch how easily it's going to take down anything that's not a ZOMG. And even the ZOMGs are going to get taken down extremely fast due to like the Alchemist plus the carrier flagship. Like I'm telling you, that combination is just insane. I haven't done the testing as for whether or not the carrier flagship is the best pairing with the Alchemist. Like maybe there's a better one like the tack shooter or the super monkey. Both of which I've been trying out as well. But either way, carrier flagship is a pretty good choice for this map. Because first of all, it's got full AoE range, so any amount of group balloons shouldn't be a huge issue for it. Because it's going to do damage to basically everything on the screen at once. And compare that with something such as the Ninja, or the Super Monkey, or Tack Shooter under the Alchemist, which was only going to target a specific part of the track, if you get what I'm saying. Anyways, here's where things start to get a little bit harder. Not this round in specific, but a little bit later down the line. We just got a bunch of like ZOMGs coming in this round, which again shouldn't be a big deal with my carrier flagship. Although it is getting a little further than I'd like. Balloons are starting to get past like that first bend, that's basically signifying the halfway part of this track over here. So in response to that, I'm gonna start building a plasma monkey, which I'm going to save up to build a sun avatar later. I don't know if that's the best choice or the most efficient. I'm pretty sure it isn't, because the sun avatar is crazy expensive, but it does do a lot of damage and can take down any type of balloon very well. It's mostly best versus group balloons, but it's kind of a mix of both. So right now I figured I was lacking both more popping power for ZOMGs as well as the balloon insides. I feel like the inaccuracy of the carrier flagships might screw me over in the end, so that's why I'm gonna get up a plasma monkey over there. I don't know, I wasn't really thinking too hard in terms of what to build for this one, because I figured getting through this would be a breeze. Now that I got my preemptive strike, basically destroying every single mob class balloon, aside from ZOMGs and BADs, which I figure shouldn't be too big of a problem, because for the first 100 rounds, there aren't really too many of them that come out at once. But there is one thing I forgot to keep in mind though, and you'll see that very soon. Not this round, not next round, but in fact the round after that. So round 98. This round isn't too hard, it's just two fortified ZOMGs. You'll see how easily my defense takes it down, but just watch once the clock strikes to round 98. You will see how ridiculous this round is compared to the last couple rounds. So I'm going to slow down my gameplay over here, just so you guys can see what I'm going to do. So watch carefully, because you're going to need to do this, or else you're going to die. I'm going to place down 2 Kylie Boomerangs. So that's the 024 upgrade. The 2 with the faster shooting, as well as the 4 on the very bottom path. That will allow your Boomerangs to push back a bunch of ZOMGs and BFBs at once. So like, just watch. Just watch how periodically the ZOMGs are getting, and the BFBs are getting pushed back. Basically enough so that it gives my Sun Avatar enough time, and my aircraft carrier enough time to pop down every single balloon. Like this round, round 98, the preemptive strike is completely shit at, because I did mention that it does 750 damage to every blimp that enters the screen. But the biggest issue is that there are fortified BFBs this round, which doesn't get completely killed by the preemptive strike. It only weakens them to like half health. So you're gonna need a lot of firepower to take that down, as well as enough firepower to take down all the insides. So I actually had to retry this level multiple times, but I'm only showing you the last attempt in case you want to skip right into, you know, how to beat the level instead of me failing it over and over. It turns out in the end, Kylie Boomerangs were the way to go. Anything else I tried, such as getting more balloon popping power or mob popping power, did not work. Like, I'm telling you, the stall on those Kylies are insane, even though they're kind of useless against round 99. But round 99 with the preemptive strike is not an issue. Let me just tell you that. The preemptive strike does do enough damage to take down round 99 blimps all by itself. So don't need to worry about that. Now the only thing to worry about is round 100 BAD. But this is where the sub ability comes into handy. You're going to need to activate the ability. This is the only ability that you're going to need to use for the entire game. So just click that and just watch almost half of the BAD's health obliterate. I believe it does something like 16,000 damage to it, so it basically takes out more than half of its health. Which again is crucial. If you don't use it when it spawns, you're dead. But that's all the micro you really need, aside from placing towers on the correct rounds. Overall, it shouldn't be too hard to follow this strategy if you had trouble with it. So hopefully this video helped you out a bit. I'm gonna have a lot more Chimps gameplay in the future. So if you want to know how to beat those advanced maps on Chimps, then make sure to drop a sub and a follow, both on YouTube and Twitch, because I am going to be streaming some of my Chimps runs there. So if you don't want to miss those, then make sure to do that. That's gonna do it for me though. I'll see you guys in the next video.